Got about 20 million albums sold worldwide, 1.3 million followers on Twitter. You're called the pioneer of electronic music. For a guy who never set out to be famous, how did you end up so famous?
I think it's a combination of fortune favoring the well-prepared and fortune favoring the well-prepared who are incapable of doing anything else. Meaning, for years and years and years, my career as a musician just didn't work out, but I'd never had a backup plan. So a lot of my friends who wanted to be musicians, they also had they were lawyers, they were accountants, they knew how to do other things. So when their music career bottomed out or never happened, they just went and did the other thing. But I never had that as an option. My options were keep making music and keep trying to have some semblance of a career, or work at Denny's. And as a vegan, working at Denny's would just be horrifying.
Yeah, that's not so good. That's not so good. Is there something about being all in, though, that leads to success eventually?
I think for some people, it increases the chances that you'll have success with something. I'm sure you've encountered that with lots of other people you've spoken to.
But most people have a backup plan.
But I'm also downplaying the fact that from the time I was 3 years old on, music was what I loved above all else. So it wasn't just oh, I'll arbitrarily choose music and work on it because what else am I going to do? It was I loved working on it. I hope this doesn't sound like a made-up, disingenuous answer, but the driver is just the love that I've always had for music. The music for me was never a means to an end. It was never oh, if I write the right song, then things get better. It's the act of writing the song that's as good as it ever gets. I can't buy anything that's better than music.
Some people might say you're in a great position to say that because you have had such enormous commercial success. You can continue to make music just for the love of making music. Can you imagine, had you not had that kind of commercial success, would you still be doing what you're doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
If I go back to, let's say, 1988, and in 1988 I was living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood, and I had no running water and no bathroom.
And no dates?
And surprisingly few dates. I wonder why women were so disinclined to date a musician making $5,000 a year living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood without a shower.
With no toilet, right?
Yeah, with no toilet. It seemed pretty attractive to me. But I was spending all my time working on music, and I was really happy. And of course I had professional aspirations and professional ambitions, but if nothing had happened, I probably would still be in that abandoned factory working on music and being relatively happy.
You were catapulted from being a relative unknown to being at parties with A-list celebrities and musicians.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like for you? Was it as gratifying as people on the outside may think it was?
I will compare it to a really intense drug experience, meaning, and I'll out myself as someone who has had really intense drug experiences, so I'm speaking from experience. At the beginning, it's great. It's magic because all of a sudden, I spent my entire life in relative obscurity, and then suddenly everything got 1,000 times better. Suddenly I was dating people who wouldn't have ever even spoken to me or acknowledged me. Suddenly I was invited to things that I hadn't even know existed. For a minute, it was great. But with any drug experience, it just goes downhill from there.